What we're going to talk about today is how SE can be extended to use non-Rockwell data stores. I'm going to talk about several products in here that are not Rockwell. They are either open source, free type software. And when I say free, I got to say that with this little caveat. You need to check the EULA agreements of those other vendors to make sure you're not violating them. Okay, some of them would say it's free for non-commercial use, yada, yada, yada. Because we don't sell it, I don't dig into those EULAs to find out what you can and can't do with it. So just check that for your own safety and things like that. So first of all, what is the difference between a temporal data store and a relational database? It comes down to a couple of things that are highlighted in yellow. I'm not going to read this entire slide, but it's basically different purposes of managing the organized data. One being a time-based information. A temporal data store is really built for time-based information. And the chart down here kind of gives a better breakdown of the differences. If you look at a relational database, it's structured in a way that it's got tables and rows and columns, and you kind of fill out what those tables, rows, and columns are all going to be. With a temporal data store, it's a little bit different. It has built-in support for a time series data or time-based data. And what that allows you to do is actually track and query historical data over time, time being a default component of the structure of a temporal data store, okay? It's not something you add like you do with a relational database. Temporal data stores, that's part of the storage mechanism, is to timestamp things. What that does is it makes it a lot easier to query data from past states and retrieve data at a specific point in time versus relational databases. Relational databases are really meant for structuring data that has relationships, one table to another one. Temporal data stores aren't geared towards that. Where would you use something like a temporal data store? Well, really anything where you're looking at historical records, and examples would be IoT monitoring, real-time data analytics. Think of pressures, temperatures, things coming off your equipment, machinery. You're always associating a time with that, right? Not so much our MES data, right? What are we producing, okay? If we're producing this, what's the bill of material with it? That's a relational type database, okay? So that's the differences there. Examples of when you talk about relational databases, you're probably familiar with a lot of them, Postgres, Oracle DB, MySQL, SQL, all of those. InfluxDB is a temporal data store that we have now built within the SE product. You could even argue that Historian SE is also a temporal data store, but we'll talk about what the difference is here in a minute between those two. InfluxDB, as I said earlier, is an open source time series database, and it records information with a timestamp, so such as sensors, metrics, logs, real-time data analytics, things like that. And we all know today's age, real-time data analytics is getting more and more important with industrial data ops and those type of things. Starting with version 14, the version I'm going to be using up here is version 15, but this started in FactoryTalk View SE 14, where they created a Data Log Pro, which if you're familiar with SE, you know you create a Data Log Pro, and then you can query that data and put it in trend objects and things like that. The Data Log Pro had a connection to an InfluxDB. That's when it was first introduced in version 14. Now, that will work in a local station, or network distributed type application. Where this will not work is machine edition. So if you've got panel view pluses cannot put data into an InfluxDB database. It has to be an SE product. So with version 15, Rockwell Automation has tested and officially supports the following InfluxDB additions. If you're familiar with Influx or you go out there and do some research on it, this is the ones that they got several different they got versions just like everybody else does, but the InfluxDB OSS 2.7 and the InfluxDB Cloud Serverless edition of the Influx database is the ones we support. And when we talk about the cloud, that's where we're talking about a remote type database. Okay, it's not on the same machine that the SE is running on. When you install FactoryTalk View SE, by default, InfluxDB gets installed. How many people have installed FactoryTalk Historian SE or have dealt with OSI Pi? Okay. Was that installation easy, simple? Right? It's not. Okay. There's a lot to it. Very, very powerful. Okay. Don't get me wrong. I like historian SE. I think it's a powerful historian. However, it's not for the faint of heart to get it up and running and installed and all that kind of stuff. The power of InfluxDB being embedded with the SE product is when you install SE, there's no configuration to get the InfluxDB installed. It just installs by default. So there's nothing you really got to do to get it ready to configure. What we do provide is if you're wanting to take the InfluxDB that gets installed by default with historian SE, and then you want to connect like Grafana, there's a lot of products can talk to an InfluxDB database. PowerBI can. I think you got to get some connectors to be able to pull that off. Tableau's another one. So there's plenty of tools out there that can do it. Well, mainstream third-party applications can pull data out of Influx. However, InfluxDB has security and things like that has to be configured. So I said when you install SE, by default, it installs the InfluxDB. Well, if you're going to connect to it from something outside, there's got to be some additional configuration outside of SE to make that happen. You actually have to use the Influx tools to do it. That's why we provide this CLI to be able to do that. Datalog Pro actually provides redundancy by leveraging the InfluxDB on a primary, secondary HMI server. So that's a mouthful. What that actually means is when you install SE and you got a primary and secondary, it's actually going to log data to both of them, right? And if one goes down, then it will backfill the other one. So there's redundancy built into it. Now, don't everybody get excited by this. This is the official thing. Datalog Pro feature in FactoryTalk View SE supports up to 50,000 tags at a 1-second scan rate. That's a lot of tags, that's a lot of information, but don't miss the first part, which I should have highlighted. Depends on the server hardware configuration, yada, yada, yada. That's the disclaimer in a little small print. I said that very fast, just like they do on TV when they're trying to sell you the medications that cause all kinds of side effects and stuff like that. So you got to have the hardware behind it to be able to make that work. Okay, so you're not going to pull this off loading it on a laptop. All right, so it's going to have some horsepower. But theoretically, it can do this. Those are knowledge base articles down at the bottom where that information comes from, and I'm going to have more knowledge base articles at the end. So let's talk about using InfluxDB with SE. So there's a variety of ways you can actually visualize the data with InfluxDB. The SE, within SE, SE has a data grid object. They have a data trend pro object. You may be familiar with those if you use the SE. They got built-in web browser objects that you can utilize, and of course you can use the InfluxDB supports API connectivity, i.e. Grafana and these third-party connections into Influx. The question becomes, is Influx going to replace Historian SE? And the answer is no. One solution does not replace the other. Historian SE is a very good application when you want to look at data across the plant, across multiple sites. I would even argue Influx can do some of that. But what I found being the biggest difference between the two, if you're familiar with Historian SE or OSI Pi, they compress the data, right? InfluxDB does not have compression, all right? The data's there you go, all right? The other thing is, when you look at Historian SE, it's a very popular solution for regulated industries, ones that have to be validated. When I first started digging into this and they come out with it, I did some checking to see if InfluxDB was actually used in any regulated industries, and I couldn't find any information on that. So since then, I looked the other day and there was some information out there on the internet about how InfluxDB can actually be validated. So you have to do your own research on that, okay? So it looks like it is moving in that direction. I still didn't find one customer during that brief search that said, yes, we're using InfluxDB, yes, we validated it. But there's documentation out there about how that might be done. Datalog Pro with InfluxDB. First of all, it's a built-in function inside Historian SE. So being able to have this embedded in SE without you having to buy additional licensing to historize data that is time series, get quick access, straightforward process for setting it up and configuring it. No real special expertise is required to configure Datalog Pro and get the InfluxDB and all that running. But if you wanted to connect something else to InfluxDB, you could easily do that. So the other thing, before we wrap up, so this is the stuff about creating the access levels that you have to build, given for SE to be able to log data to an external one. how to connect to it, and then the CLI stuff and all of that. So all these knowledge base articles is where you saw those commands I was typing in. That's where all that information came from. So it's documented in knowledge base articles. So if this is something you're interested in doing, I can give you my card, and then I can get these slides emailed to you so you don't gotta go search all that up.